All right, students, hello, welcome to today. A little bit of a review, a little bit more in depth, a little more level of complication, I guess, with these equations. Still just one-step equations. We've done add, subtract, multiply, and divide, but now I'm going to show you a little bit of the differences because life isn't always nice and neat and clean and pretty as you've seen so far. So we'll dive right in. Here we go. Equations of all types. Up until now, you've done equations where it's looked nice and neat and pretty, where you've got a variable to begin with, and then an operation, and then a number equals something. Well, now you might see something that looks like this. Wait a second, you're thinking it's all the same. Today, it's all the same as you've done so far these last few days. It's exactly the same. We're still trying to get the x by itself. We're still trying to isolate it. The end of the problem, we'll have the x alone. The question is, well, what do we do? The answer is the same thing. You have this negative 87 that's connected onto it. The sign here goes with the 87. This plus goes with the x. So we're worried about this symbol here, not this one. So when we've got this right here, how do we get rid of it on this side of the equal sign? Well, the same way we always have. We undo that negative 87. The way to undo the negative 87 is to add 87 on. That gets it to 0. And you add 87 on the other side of the equation. So when you've done that, on this side we have x is left, so we've got the variable alone. And then over here we've got your calculator will give you an answer of 99. So even though it's written in a different order, you can still work the problem out the same way. If we have, that works with all types of these. You know, if it's 6 plus y equals 4.6. What kind of number is that? What's out in front of the number? What's the sign in front of that number? Well, we're lazy. It's positive. We haven't written it. So we subtract off the 6 and subtract off the 6. So y equals, and as we've learned, that 4.6 is what we write first. So we just have to figure out what 4.6 minus 6 is. And again, as you're using your calculator, you find out that we're at negative 1.4. So it can be in a different order and still work it out. It can even be, let's say we've got negative 18 equals m plus 4. Let me make this kind of hard, 4.6. Lots of stuff on the desk. So it's the same item. It doesn't matter if the variable's on the right side of the equal sign or the left. We're still doing the same thing. We're still trying to get m all by itself. Well, this 4.6 is added on, so we're going to subtract off the 4.6 from both sides. And again, this goes to 0. All that's left is m equals. Now what's this? You always start with the number that was there and do this operation. So negative 18 minus 4.6. And the calculator gives us the negative 22.6. So the variable can come second in the side of the equation. It can even be on the other side of the equation. We're still just doing the same thing. Finally, what if you've got something like this? Well, I'm only doing add and subtract, aren't I? Let's do 5 is negative 6j. And again, when two numbers are right next to each other, it means multiply. So to get this negative 6 off, we do the same thing. It is multiplied, so we do the opposite. We divide it off. J is all alone here. That just goes to 1. J equals whatever 5 divided by negative 6 is. 5 divided by negative 6. There we go. Negative 0.83 on forever. On your work today, it'll be much easier than that. You won't have the repeating decimals. We do everything we can to get the terminating decimals on these. Okay, well, I've done some with some integers and with some decimals. What about with fractions? What if I've got 2 1/8 is the same as -3 1/4 r? Wow. Well, it's okay that it's over here. We've got an equal sign. We've got a number connected to a variable and it's times. So we do what we've always done. We just divide it off. So we divide off -3 1/4. And we divide off -3 1/4 on both sides of the equal sign. So on this side of the equal sign, we've got, that's just 1. It becomes 1. So r, 1r is whatever this is. And we're back to this fun calculator that'll do this for us. You have a fraction, and on the top of the fraction is a mixed number. 2 1/8 over a -3. Whoa. It's another mixed number. -3 1/4. You can see how those are the same. Make sure that as you type it in, types in understanding that that's the fraction. -17/26. And finally, let's try to figure one that might cause a little bit of angst. M minus a -8 equals 2.1. We just do the exact same process, do the exact same thing. If a number is minused off, then you add on that number. So add on that number. You can see why I've said show your work, write every step. We could kind of lose out on this if we don't do that. This all goes to 0, so M is all alone. We just type in our calculator 2.1 plus a -8. 2.1 plus a -8. And we have -5.9. So there's just a couple examples on this worksheet, or not on this worksheet, but now the assignment is the worksheet. Yes, it's going to be a little bit of work, but as you write every step, you'll have a better chance of getting it right. The instructions here say to check your work by putting the answer back into the equation. And here's what we mean by that. Let's do this one right here. -3 is m minus 17. So if I add 17 to both sides, this goes to 0. So I'm left with just plain old m equals whatever -3 plus 17 is. Put that in your calculator to find out that it's 14. And then put that 14 back into m. 14 minus 17, check and see if it equals -3. It does, so we know we did it right. Let's find a hard one. Right here, 32. We've got this number, and that's the same as n plus 1.5. So to get the n alone, I subtract off the 1.5. Subtract off the 1.5. And so here we go. 365 over 38 minus 1 1/2. There it is. Take some work sometime to write it correctly. So I get 154/19. So on this one, n equals 154/19. N is on this side of the equation. 154/19 is on that side of the equation. There it is. Yes, math teachers like to write it like this. N is 154/19. They like to, you can write them on either side. It's okay, on an equal side. You can do that. If you were to hit math 1 enter, you'd get 8 2/19. It's the same thing. The way to check your work is put that back in. So take 8 2/19 and add 1.5 add 1.5. Do you get the number that we just had? Yes, we did. So that's what I mean by check your work. On this one, negative 13/19 r is this. Just divide off that negative 13/19 and take this and divide off the negative 13/19. So when you type this in your calculator, 91/76 divided by negative 13/19, you'll get an answer. And that is what r equals, that answer. And then you can put the number back in there, negative 13/19 times that number, see if you get this. (91/76) divided by negative 13/19. Negative 7/4. So r is negative 7/4. And again, you can put it back in by multiplying it. Negative 13/19 times, that's the r, negative 7/4. 91/76. Yep, and that's what we have. So there's a few examples on this problem. The answers are there on the worksheet further down. The assignment, don't do 40 problems, but at least do maybe half of them. We have a lot of time in class to work on these, so if you're not in class, spend a lot of time working out, making sure you're getting the right answer on these, making sure you're understanding how to work out these equations. And come in on a Friday or shoot me an email if you've got questions, and we can work together. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.